Hello, I'm Susan Yockey, and I am a parent. I am a mother, and obviously, I'm a female. I'm doing this video as a testimony to my very first parenting coaching session one-on-one with Karen Ryce with Harmonize Kids Co. And our first session was actually a week ago, and I went to Karen because, first off, I'm a mother of 4 adult young men, ages 20 to 28. And then I have a daughter who I'm raising who is now 4. And I also have 3 granddaughters and a step-grandson. And one of the biggest things that I value in my life is my family. And I strive towards having resolutions or solutions to the way we communicate with each other, how we're creating our lives together, and seems I'm the one who is the role model, the main role model in this family, who kind of guides that softer side of things. I'm always looking for ways to improve as a mother and be the best that I can with my children and grandchildren. So I am actually a transformation life coach, and one of the biggest things that I've developed for myself in my life over the past 9 years has been about our mindset and getting to the root cause of things and healing, those things that get into the way of us living a life of abundance in all areas. And so I've always made my family and that main focus point in what I'm developing myself in. And so I've done a lot of studying and applying the tools, methodologies, strategies, habits, and routines and such into my own life, and have had some really amazing results. However, there was still things that just weren't working, and I began noticing them as, of course, having my daughter. New things started coming to the surface of who I am being as a mother in this family, and which has been an onion. It always is an onion. You're just constantly peeling layer after layer of that onion, and in the process, it's all about healing. So anyways, for myself, I was actually looking for a parenting coach with something that was in alignment with my sole purpose on this earth, and in alignment with my beliefs and the things that I value in life. And I actually met Karen a couple of years ago, and it has only been recent that I begun looking more into what it is that she teaches and understanding what she is passionate about in life. And so that's when I approached her about being my parenting coach. And I was just so excited about that first session. I wanted to give it some time to just kind of start applying the one rule in my relationship with my daughter. And the reason why I pick her right away is because I raised her by myself pretty much for most of the time. Dad is always away out of town working. And so the first thing I realized was, and this is true in any coaching that I get, whether I'm getting business coaching or I'm actually working with my clients in their coaching, and that's being vulnerable and transparent about the unsaid truths, that, what Karen calls them, invisible. Um, and just really being completely honest about who I'm being as a mother. Because I would say half the time who I'm being is, to be honest and straight with you, I'm a bitch. And then the other half of me is really working towards this harmonious parent-child relationship. And I found myself just kind of feeling defeated and not really desperate, but in a place where I really needed an answer. I needed some direction, because I know that that's not who I am, who I am who I value myself to be, and showing up in this world and being an authentic as a parent. So my first session with Karen was just, I couldn't believe the shifts. First off, I just felt really safe and just really opened up about who I'm being in the relationship as mom. And because I'm a trained coach, I already know that I need to be aware of what my thinking process is and what it is that I speak out here, because I do know that it gives me access to getting to some of the root causes from my own past, so that I can work on healing those things, and in turn I'm able to put those hidden blocks out into the forefront so that I'm the one who has control over the state of my mind. And so as I'm sharing with Karen about who I was being as mother with my daughter, it was painful to share. It was, my mind was experiencing being embarrassed, and this is really going to make me look bad. So like there was all that ego stuff out there. And then once I got through that, though, it was like while I was sharing that, I should say, Karen just created this space that allowed me to just be with that stuff. She didn't make me wrong for it or try to correct me for it. She just was with it, and which allowed me to be with it, and to really acknowledge that I'm like not this bad parent, and I just didn't have access to tools to help me work through some of the stuff that I had been dealing with. So just to give you some insight of what I was dealing with, the icky stuff, the stuff that just sucks. So I work from home, and one of the biggest things that was right here was not having the space to focus on my business when I need to. And when I do focus, what I do, and I notice that I don't only just do it while I'm working, but I also do it if I'm into watching a movie or I'm scrolling on Facebook. If I'm in the middle of something where my mind is just focused in on that one thing, I'm zoned in on that one thing, I know there's a lot of parents who do this, but I literally can just block this stuff out here. That includes my daughter. So the first thing that we acknowledged was how I get into this zone, and to acknowledge Bella immediately as soon as she's needing my attention or wanting something. That's been really that takes a lot of practice. However, I would say between last session and up to today, which today is going to be session 2, I definitely am practicing that more, and even noticing when other people are doing it to Bella, my daughter, and asking them to respond to her. And because I know that when I role model this behavior, it will obviously kind of trickle over to other people in my family. And really the only immediate people here are my husband, myself, and my daughter, and my other adult children when they come over to visit. And it is my vision that they learn these techniques as well with their own children. So anyways, so that was the one thing. And it actually kind of seems to be like me working at home and finding balance and finding space for myself were my top things. And I just could not find a way to make that happen. And then I was having a lot of guilt and shame because I was treating my daughter in a way that was mean. I was not very nice, leave me alone. I'm trying to get this done. And then there was time, then there's a lot of times where I'm also, I'll stop doing what I'm doing and, do what she needs. So I know I have a lot of growth to go because there's things that I've, would love to work on. But so that was the first thing, was me acknowledging who I was being towards my daughter. And it became super important to me because as she is 4, she's developed this I'm scared. And everything involves she needs me to go with her to do this or to go do that. So I really feel like we're both trying to find our own independence while we can live in the same house. So there's that. And then where I wanted to go with that. So there was that. And what another thing that had developed was she became kind of abusive towards me because she wasn't getting my attention when she wanted it. What she would start doing is pulling my hair, biting me, kicking me, hitting me, throwing fits. And, I would warn her to stop, and I'd bite her back, I'd pull her hair back, I'd hit her back. And just even knowing that that's the side of me that was there, it sucks because that's not how I want to raise my child. So obviously I'm still feeling some shame and guilt about reacting to those behaviors with more violence. And that's what I'm going to call it, is violence, because that's what it is, and that's what we instill in our children, violence or being scared or fear. And so acknowledging that I was instilling a fear-based model of parenting was not easy for me. But it was like once I got the truth out here, I freed myself up, and now I have the power to do something about it. And because of Karen and what she's created over decades, and then this new rule, the one rule, is just so fast. I can't believe how quick it began to work, even in our first session, because she got to experience the way my daughter was behaving. So, and it's interesting because I do know that it's like my boys, now that they're adults, I have a different kind of behavior. I'm no longer that parent who's got to have that control. They just do their own thing. I'm not attached anymore after doing a lot of work, by the way, and a lot of healing. But I'm no longer attached to how they live their life or interfering with that. Just always being there as someone who can powerfully listen to them. Anyways, so back to Bella. So Bella was showing some of these things while I was actually in my session with Karen. And something that we noticed, Karen had noticed in a previous class that I was giving, how Bella was sticking her finger up. And she asked me about that. And I was like, well, the only thing I can think of is when I do interviews with people or I'm doing coaching sessions, I let people know in advance, like I have a 4-year-old and I need to tend to her needs. So I apologize for the interruptions. Obviously that in the long run is not going to work all the time. And so it's just coming up with the solutions to that thing. But for now, the solution that was given to me was this finger signal. And Karen had talked about the one rule where we come to a solution that is upon an agreement with both of us. Well, we had already created this agreement and didn't even know we did it. And it wasn't working all the time because we just didn't know that we were doing it, and so it wouldn't always work. So the agreement that Bella and I had created, or she picked up, and then basically was like, Mom, we could do this, which is the finger. So what I tell people when I'm going to do a Zoom with them is I will put my finger up after I pause it, because I record everything pretty much. And so it gives them a heads up like, hey, I've paused this. And Bella knows that means I'm going to respond to her now. So now we're aware of this little thing that we've created, and we use it. And we also shared that with Dad. And so now we've just been practicing it. And then the other thing was, so shifting my focus, and something that I've actually been thinking about is she'll say, Mom, and then she says it 100 times until I respond to her. However, this past week that's been changing a lot. But I kind of almost felt like I needed to maybe change it from Mom to just saying my name, Susan. Because I do know that it triggers me when one of my kids say Susan, even though it's just a name. It's, for me, I have no attachment to it. A lot of parents actually get angry with their kids, and I would say I used to when the boys were younger. No, I'm your mother, you call me Mom. And that was just a way to lash out at them. However, over time, as I learned, about the mindset and that language is just language, or words are just words. And so my name is just a word. And so I was thinking that if it doesn't work when she says Mom the first time, even though while I'm practicing, she could say Susan, but that might be too much. Anyway, so that was something that I just had been thinking about. Anyways, then the other thing was we literally got to practice it while I was in my session with Karen, and it unfolded so beautifully. It was just, woo! I just can't thank Karen enough, because her strong commitment, her strong desire and passion for having children be brought up in a harmonious way is very clear. And I love the one rule that she's created, because I can totally see how it just easily can be applied, and it's all about practicing and just shifting your mindset. And for me, it's a little bit easier just because I always pay attention to how I'm reacting, because it's the reaction, even in the world of law of attraction, what we put out there, we get more back. And what I was doing was putting out there that my daughter doesn't listen. I need space from her. I've developed this resentment and this shame and guilt. And so what do you think I just kept getting more of? More of that upset, more of that, being scared and fear. She still does this I'm scared thing, but I know that anytime, it's like taking a new supplement. The doctor says give it 30 days before you might start noticing results, sometime even longer. And so that's how I'm looking at it with my daughter. You can also apply this in your relationships with your adult children, your teenagers, with your husband or your wife or your partner. So I'm really excited about this program, and the one-on-one coaching with Karen has been just amazing. And I cannot express enough gratitude for what she's done already in my relationship with this beautiful little one, who I love so very much. One family at a time, right? Thank you, Karen. Namaste.